Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the use of ethnography or autoethnography in exploring entrepreneurship. So we're going to talk a little bit about the why, and then we'll have a call to action in the next video. But, you know, when we do this hard statistical research, here's what you miss, okay? A lot of the research that uses quantitative methodology, it only focuses on, I started at point A, I'm a new business owner, and I finished at point B, I've made $1 million, right? Point A to point B. But all the flesh that happens in the middle, that's what's missed, okay? One of the things that you can gather with autoethnography or ethnography that you can't with more conventional methods is a focus on the prosaics of entrepreneurship. That's the everyday routines that give the overall venture meaning, right? You know, in my videos on Homeboy Industries, which I've done on this channel also, you can check them out. You know, one of the things that I noticed that they had a routine that would probably not be measured in a more of a quantitative methodology, but everybody at Homeboy Industries, they started the day off with a prayer and kind of a little pep talk about something that everybody had done well yesterday and what they were going to do well today. Those little rituals, right? Or those hidden things. You know, one of the things I was always impressed about with the business school where I went for grad school was a French business school, and I noticed nobody ever sent emails or anything, and there weren't a lot of meetings. I thought that was strange. But stuff kind of was getting done, and it was all getting done in the stereotypical 35-hour work week. I didn't get it. You know what it was? Is every day at 10, and every day I think it was at 2:30 or 3, everybody left their offices and went out front to smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. And they'd have like an informal interaction for like a half an hour, and all the secrets of the world were revealed. And then, after the break was over, they were ready to go back, and they were actually ready to work. Those kinds of weird little routines, you have to capture them through ethnography. You actually have to be present to study it in order to understand it. Okay? So, it helps you understand the little things that occur in a business every day that helps make it successful. That stuff that's just not easily measured, but it kind of gives a sense of an ambiance or a culture. It also helps you understand how all of these pieces are put together to form a venture. It's how the business plan fits with the little routines, fits with these cool ideas. How does it all fit together? How do these pieces work? What does the sequencing look like? What is the quality of the activities? How does it all go together? How is this business actually organized in a way that makes sense? It also looks at onto-narratives. So I have some other videos on onto-narratives on my channel, but I'm just going to give you a brief description of what an onto-narrative is. Onto-narrative is this idea that when you stand in the present, you have evaluated a bunch of previous pasts, and you've evaluated a bunch of potential futures. I kind of think of it almost as like a decision tree. In other words, I've done certain things in the past, and there's certain things I haven't done in the past, and that's going to lead to certain kinds of futures. Thinking of it like as a decision tree, understanding onto-narratives in a business will also help you understand what the entrepreneurs decided to do, but more importantly, what they decided not to do, and how they learn from their mistakes. Because a lot of quantitative research only looks at what was actually done, not what was, you know, the choices that were forsaken or given up. Those other choices are usually ignored. So understanding what an entrepreneur didn't do, remember I talked about there's no metric for success, although we can usually understand what definitely won't work. It's helping you understand what the entrepreneurs definitely decide not to do. And you understand that through ethnography because you ask and you see those meetings and, yeah, we're not going to do this, we're going to do this. We're not going to do all these other things, and you can assess why those other things weren't done. So hopefully there may be a million ways to be a successful, or there may be a million pathways of entrepreneurship, but you can at least identify 900,000 of them that aren't going to work so that you can focus on the 100,000 that you don't know if they will or won't work. And it also, again, going into the onto-narrative, it helps you interact with the entrepreneurs and understand how they, as Bill Gardner says, how you move from purpose to reality, or as I would say it, how you move from idea to opportunity to new venture creation. You're looking at the pieces, the steps in the process, how you get along this timeline. What does that actually look like? And that's what doing the ethnographic or autoethnographic research does. And I promised I'd do this in the next video, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and finish it in this video because I think I'm on a roll here. That means that if you're a student trying to understand entrepreneurs, that means if you're a researcher trying to understand entrepreneurship, you got to get out of the classroom, you got to get out of the ivory tower of the university and actually go in and explore. You've got to explore stuff. Now, a lot of us in academia, we have prior experiences in business. So these kinds of discussions make for a great basis for autoethnography, especially now that we're in academia, because we can look back and we can engage in retrospective sense-making. In other words, we have enough separation from the events at hand that we can theorize, and ideally a way that gives us some distance from the events. Ideally, we're not as emotionally overwhelmed with it as we would be when we're in the moment. Although I'm not sure being emotionally overwhelmed is necessarily a bad thing either, right? So it gives us that space to theorize about it post hoc. I think that's really, really powerful. And as academics, I think it's important for us to be willing to make ourselves vulnerable so that students and other researchers can learn from our mistakes. So we as researchers have almost this obligation to do autoethnographic work. Now, for students or for potential entrepreneurs, what does this mean for you? It means you got to get out of the classroom. You've learned enough theory now. If you want to open a bar, don't just go and open a bar. Work in somebody else's bar for 6 months or a year. Learn from the mistakes that they make, learn from the things that make them successful, and make mistakes on their dime. Right? Because if you're working for someone else, you make a mistake, they either pay for it or they fire you, but either way, it's not really on you. So you learn from those other mistakes, you get out, and you make those ethnographic field notes while you're working for them. You go home every day and reflect. Okay, what are the things that happened in this bar that were successful or unsuccessful, and how can I learn from them as I decide to open my own bar? That's what this involves. That's why when you want to learn about writing a business plan and whether it's going to make you successful or not, go work for an entrepreneur that's struggling with their own business plan. Explore their successes and their failures and learn from them so that you know what not to do when you start your own business. I hope you've all found these videos instructive. Hit that thumbs up, that's a like. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Post your comments down below. Looking forward to seeing you in the next playlist, which I'm going to use an empirical article to look at why writing a business plan doesn't guarantee success. Hope you've enjoyed this discussion. I'll see you next time.